I'm Van Sebastian here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge Season 10 Episode 45 interview. We'll be talking with Robyn Green and discussing her book, The Dramatic Life of Jonah Penrose. So let's get to know our guest. Born and raised in Suffolk, England, Robyn started writing from a young age. She studied English literature and creative writing at sixth form, then specializing in set and costume design and script writing. When she's not writing romance, Robyn works as a wardrobe and costume lead, creating and curating gorgeous costumes and props for the stage. With a passion for literature and theater, Robyn can usually be found reading a book with her son or watching a musical with a cup of tea, never far from view. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And what a melding of our passions, theater and literature? Yes!
We love it.
You're speaking to both of us. We get you.
Yep. So, where did this passion to become a storyteller come from? Because this is all, storytelling, whether you're telling it through costume or set or words.
I have always been creative, like even when I was absolutely tiny. I was that kid who would rather be indoors colouring in than outside doing a sport. That was just who I was. I always loved the theatre. Again, I was that child that was singing show tunes. My poor parents, actually, I say my poor parents, they were really encouraging all the time. So they were great.
It's
But
awesome.
with, yeah, they were great. And they still are. Bless them, had to put up with me for years now, constantly going on about the theatre. My mum especially was always great with that. She would chaperone shows when I was a child. So yeah, they really were kind of instrumental in my upbringing and encouraging those things. When it came to literature, my granddad, I have such vivid memories of my granddad reading to me when I was little, literally sitting on his knee in his house by the seaside, and he would have these books, and they are some of the best memories I have. And I think it just kind of bloomed from there. I was really lucky as well when I went to high school. I had the best literature teacher. He was incredible, and he he read Of Mice and Men to us, and
Mm.
I think he read this every year to his students, depending on the year he was teaching. And I remember him reading it out loud to us, and he cried at the end. And I thought, this man has been teaching for God knows how many years, and he still gets emotional about the ending of a book that he's read I don't know how many times. And just knowing that a book and a story can have that effect on someone was just incredible. And
Yeah.
I thought, I want to do that. I want to tell stories. I want people to have a reaction to something that I've created, whether it be a book, a bit of art, or theatre. Like when I go to the theatre, as soon as I hear the music starting, I well up. It doesn't matter what show it is. And I think it's just that kind of tie to the arts, really. That really speaks to me anyway.
Right. Well, and that's just it. It's the invitation to something wonderful. That
Mm,
moment where the music swells or you crack open the book for the first time, that's your
yeah,
invitation to something wonderful.
absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good way to put it.
Love it. So let's talk about the dramatic life of Jonah Penrose.
Yes.
So Jonah is your star,
hmm
and then we'll get to Dexter being in the next star in a second, but tell us about Jonah.
Jonah. Oh, I'm so fond of Jonah. And I know that sounds weird to say because he's
No, it doesn't.
obviously my
Not to
main
us.
character.
No.
Yeah, it's like I adore him. And in a way, I kind of feel for him because I put so much of my own kind of like insecurities and trauma into Jonah. So maybe that's why I feel for him so strongly. Um, you know, he's insecure, um, despite being in a job where he needs to be confident. That not everybody, when they're out of the light, is like that. And I think that was a really interesting thing to work through when writing Jonah. And hopefully people can relate to that, can relate to his inner and outward struggles, because he's not always too subtle with his emotions. But I think that's what makes him interesting. I hope he's interesting.
He is. And what people should know is Jonah is a stage actor.
Yeah, I forgot that most important thing about Jada.
Well, it's important because you talk about he hides his insecurities behind a mask, which is something actors are very good at doing, and that's why that's the professional reason behind it. But the story
Mhm.
also opens with him having recently had a broken heart,
Yeah,
so he's
and
also
I
protecting himself.
absolutely, and I think, I mean, there's not really much spoilers there because it's the opening chapter, but he
Right.
comes from this absolute high of winning an award to then just being thrown back down to ground when his partner's like, I don't want to be with you anymore. There's someone else, and it's that juxtaposition of outwardly, you've got everything, your name's up in lights, but behind closed doors, things aren't always as rosy.
Hmm. Now, enter into the production where he's working, Dexter.
Yeah. I've heard so many mixed reviews on Dexter, but again, I love him. I will hear no bad words about Dexter. Um, I love him, and I think yeah, he can be horrible. He does some horrible things.
He, okay, I will not to spoil anything. He does, but as Jonah gets to know him through the story, there's a lot more to like about Dexter. I'll say it that way.
That's good. I'm glad there was more to like about him. I think, like Jonah, he's got these inner demons that he doesn't want everyone to see. He's that guy who has got a lot of Instagram followers. He posts pictures of himself in the mirror and he's outwardly confident with the way he looks, but he's got his own things going on. And I think that's why him and Jonah work quite well together because they're both dealing with the same things
Mhm.
while trying to be a success professionally.
They're just dealing with them very differently.
Very differently.
So the thing that people need to know about the story, what brings these two characters together, is they're in the same production, but it was an illness that suddenly put Dexter into the on-stage romance with Jonah,
Yes.
and that's where hilarity ensues.
Yes.
As it does.
As it does, of course.
So again, I'm trying to not spoil too much into it because I would love for people to read it because it's a beautiful, fun rom-com romp of a story. But what would you like people to know about that pivot point when they suddenly are very close together and people who are running the show start to have ideas?
I think it's interesting to look at a dynamic where they're affected, they work together. So you have to have a level of professionalism, especially when performing on a stage in front of hundreds of people. You don't have room to, like with an office job, someone could walk away and you could roll your eyes and be like, oh, to your colleague. You can't do that when you're on stage. You especially can't do that when you're meant to be playing love interests
Mhm.
because you're meant to have chemistry. And was it on Friends where they're saying if there's chemistry on stage, they're not, I can't remember what it is. Something with like if people don't like each other, they have better chemistry.
Oh yeah, because
Right
a
somewhere.
heightened emotion.
Yeah. Something along those lines. I can't remember the exact thing,
Yeah,
but
I don't remember the quote, but I know the expression you're talking about. It's because there's heightened emotion, whether it's hatred, enemies, friends, love, that's sensed.
yes. Yeah. And, I've been to shows where I've thought, oh my gosh, they must be in love in real life. You can't act that. Turns out they're just incredibly talented people. But with Jonah and Dexter, that really is the turning point because Jonah cannot escape him. And especially when, the power of social media, people kind of piling on top of that. You get some fandoms, even in the theatre world, which are quite intense, and
Mhm.
people pick up on these things and then just thinking, oh God, I hate him, but now everyone thinks there's so much more going on. It was just a fun thing to work through for them.
Hmm. Well, and the people running the show lob on or glom onto that social media aspect and like, could you pretend to be a little bit more?
Yeah, because, theatre is a business
It
and
is.
money talks. As we know, they put millions of pounds
Yep,
into.
that's why it's called show business and not show art.
Right.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, I have danced around where the story goes. I'm stopping all of my pre-spoilers there. What else would you like folks to know about the book that we didn't think to ask?
I think, at the heart of it, it is a romance. And it does center around this relationship between Jonah and Dexter. But another part of the book that's really important to me is Jonah's relationship with his parents
Mm,
and how he navigates growing up and your relationship with your parents changing. Because there comes a day when you realize they're not immortal, they're
mhm,
not always going to be here. And for me, I wrote quite a lot of that. Luckily, my parents are alive and well, very healthy, but my grandparents, I had very similar experiences with dealing with that. And seeing someone you love still be that person, but seeing them change
mhm.
is such a strange thing to deal with, and nobody prepares you for it. There's not like a book where they're like, when you get to a certain age, this is going to happen. And I do feel like that's quite an important part of the book because it shapes so much of what's going on with Jonah and how he deals with it.
Right. Right. Yeah. You're right. It's a difficult subject. It was Jonah's father, right? In
Yes,
this case,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. It's hugely important and hard.
I think
But
so.
but it also paints your characters as people again. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, because, you know, romance, this is what I also was very, when I sat down to write a romance, I didn't want it to be the defining thing about my characters. I
Mm,
didn't want them to be defined by falling in love. I wanted them to be people outside of that relationship. And for Jonah's friends as well as his family to be people and to have their own character as well. I felt it was really important.
agreed. Make them people and not paper dolls.
Absolutely.
Bez, do you have any questions?
No, I love this that the fact that it swirls around theater, and there's a lot of presumptions in theater that everybody is outgoing and is very, very, you know, I don't want to say obsessed with their own ego, but there is a variance. You do have people of all sorts who perform physically in front of other people, but they don't get that the mask that they get to wear for whatever role they're playing,
Mm,
that is what protects them internally. So I like that you use that angle to
Mhm.
show that people of all sorts get involved in theater, because as humans we just love stories so much, and we love storytellers. And I think when you have characters who have those kinds of intrinsic little flaws, or areas that they're concentrating on themselves, and it runs afoul of what people's perception of actors are, then I think you get into some really interesting storytelling, which is about perceptions. And that's exactly what I love about storytelling, is dealing with people's perceptions. So I think you've set up a beautiful arrangement to do that, and to subvert what people automatically think, oh, all actors are just full of themselves, kind of thing. So
mm.
have you had any kind of responses along that line?
Um, I'll be honest, I don't know. I've avoided a lot of feedback since the book came out because
Oh.
this is my debut novel and, it's still very much my baby.
Mhm.
And I've spoken to my agent. I said, like, when your book goes out in the world, it's like you've had a baby, and then you're waiting for someone to be like, "That's an ugly baby," and you just, you know what I mean? So, no, I haven't really had people say that, but I'm glad that that's something that you brought up because, like you said, it, when I go see a show, you just automatically assume these people have got their lives together because they're doing this 8 times a week. They're incredibly talented. They must go home and have a million friends and, have the gift of the gab. But it's not always the case. And
Mhm.
it
In fact, in
even
most cases, it's not.
it's not. And one thing that I think is really interesting as well, I am that person who will sit in the theatre with my programme, looking at all the actors, and afterwards I will look them up to see what else they've done, see if they're doing anything new, which in turn leads you to social media. And you'll look up somebody and then it's like, oh, they've got a private account. That's really interesting because they don't want, all that attention. And, I think that it's really important for um, some people, if they've got those boundaries, to have them and for
Mm,
them to be respected
mm,
because not everybody, I talk about it a bit in the book, like when it comes to stage door, that's not a given um, that somebody is going to stop at stage door and talk to you. They are people, they've just done a job at the end of the day and they want to go home.
mhm.
Whereas because we think they're actors, please sign this for me, they don't have to. I think it's very easy to forget that they are just people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. All right, Robyn, are you ready for our get to know you questions?
I think so.
Take it away, Bess.
All right. I promise to be gentle, so no worries. Can you name a movie that was better than the book?
Can I, am I allowed to say Romeo and Juliet? I know it's technically a
Yeah,
play,
yeah. I mean,
but the Baz Luhrmann movie of that is one of my favorites. It's so good. It is so good. I would watch that a million times rather than reading the play. Uh, I'll go with that one.
okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. I thought you were going to go with something like Shakespeare in Love, but that's okay.
No,
Um,
sorry.
all right. Well, which fictional character would you most like to be friends with?
So this might be a strange answer. A Paddington Bear, because he's just adorable. And I feel like he's always got a snack if you need one. And I genuinely believe that he would just tell you straight if he thought you were doing something wrong. He'd just be like, no, I don't think there'd be any beating around the bush with Paddington.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, he had tea with the Queen, so there you go. Can't be
Yeah,
all bad.
exactly. He's got connections.
Exactly. 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 Okay. What is the most fascinating fact that you know?
See, I don't know if this is actually fascinating, but it is a fact. Well, I say it's a fact. I've not actually tested it, but apparently lemons float, but limes don't. Is that true?
It's a thing. Yep.
It
Yep.
is a thing. Yeah, I think that's amazing. I don't why. Do we know why?
I think it has to do with the density of the fruit.
Oh,
The density of limes is much more dense than the lemon is. So yeah, I think that yeah. Hmm.
there we go. I do find that quite interesting.
Yeah, and he
All right.
lives in a warm area where both of those things grow.
And
Oh,
being
so
and, and being
you're the expert.
Latino, being Mexican, we use them a lot. All right. So, what was your favorite subject in school?
Automatically, I was going to say English, but it was art. I know it was art. That was the one I used to look forward to the most. Uh, yeah, definitely art.
Okay.
Mhm.
Before making a telephone call, do you rehearse what you're going to say?
Yes. Absolutely. I need to, yeah, I have to prepare myself for a call.
You get your ducks in a row, and then one of them goes wandering off.
If they ask a question I'm not prepared for, there will be silence. It's not good. I'm not great with phone calls.
All right. Well, what current event or causes are you most passionate about?
I'm very passionate about trans rights. I know that's a very hot topic at the moment, but something I'm quite vocal about. I believe, yeah. I
Mhm.
know it's a bit of a topic, but that
No,
is one of
we're
them.
right. We're right there with you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
All right.
important.
Mm-hmm. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Um, so I hate that my mind goes to somewhere I've been before, um, which is boring. I'm going to say Edinburgh. I've not been there, and it looks gorgeous. But my heart is saying Paris. It's my favorite place. So
There is
And
nothing wrong with
yeah,
returning to a favorite.
exactly. Hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I would go there. I would live there. I love it.
Yeah, I feel that way about Copenhagen. I love Denmark. I would go in a heartbeat.
Oh, so I
Um,
want to go there as well. It does look lovely.
it's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite places. It's the only place I cried when I left. Only place in.
Oh,
All right. So, if you see who, if anyone, was your first celebrity crush?
I don't know. I feel like I loved everyone in Boyzone when I was younger. I don't know if you guys know Boyzone, if they were a bit too British, but I think I loved all of them. I don't know if I called it a crush, or if I just was like, I just
More
loved,
enamored.
yeah, I liked them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Finally, what's your favorite personal recipe that you make, and are you willing to share it with us?
I am not a cook. I
So
am
you do a
very
good
bad
cuppa.
at cooking. Yeah, yeah, I would prefer someone else to make it for me. However, I do make a good Victoria sponge, which is just like
Well,
a, I think it's a
that's
berry berry
yep.
recipe.
That's the basics. That's if you got
Hmm.
that nailed, you're getting somewhere. All right. Well, you made it through the list. Bravo.
Nicely done.
Yay, thank you.
So, with your first book out in the world, are you doing more interviews or appearances? Are you going to be doing any book fairs, anything of that nature?
I'm doing a few podcasts, including this one. But I'm not doing any kind of in-person events because Jonah is out in the US and I am in rainy England
Fair.
at the moment. But hopefully in the future, if I can get out there, I'd love to go to some bookshops and meet some people. It would be amazing.
Well, so which social or website is the best place for people to follow you so they can follow those podcasts and see if you are have or see if you have any appearances in the future?
My Instagram is probably what I use the most, which is Robyn is writing. I update on there about my books, theatre trips, my dogs, everything. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And for folks who are just listening and don't see the printed out, it's Robyn, Robyn,
Yes, with the Y.
with a Y. All right, Robyn, do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Um, I just hope that people enjoy the book. I hope that people who loved or love theatre find some magic in it. That's kind of who I wrote it for, the kind of theatre kids that I was, that I still am. And I hope that it can make people smile.
Beautiful. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to Robyn Green for being with us and sharing her book, The Dramatic Life of Jonah Penrose, with us. Robyn, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
It's been our pleasure. We at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. Our show was produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.roguepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye now.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.